Welcome back to RPG Radio, everybody. My name is Winback. I'll be your host, the ever-present disc jockey slash airline captain slash cruise ship captain with the voice that just makes you want to fall asleep or let you know the turbulence is about to make you fasten your seatbelt. How's that for an intro? You guys like that? That's something new I'm working on. Anyway, we're on a build video this week because I will be going on a short weekend vacation, and I actually needed to do something quick, unscripted, unedited, and hopefully you guys enjoy this because this is one of my earlier builds way back before I started really laying down the knowledge on this game. And as such, it's been missing a little bit of love and tenderness. So this is Jimber Timber, the twin sister to Scoobert Dubert, the purifier. But man, like, look at that fashion. Just tell me that isn't the coolest shit you've ever seen. It just, everything works so well together. Fantastic. Anyway, she's a witchblade, which means that she is a soldier occultist. And she has got tons of tankiness built into her kit. And I am on the wrong ability slots. Hotkeys, ability bar. That's it. It's a bar full of little squares, just like a real bar. Get it? Squares at the bar. Anyway, you get where I'm coming from. But being that she's a witchblade, like I said, she's super tanky. We've got a lot of really decent resistances built into that soldier tree, and we've got ourselves a shield that is also helping, plus a bunch of abilities with a built-in lifesteal, which is incredibly helpful. Not to mention that we're doing mainly a vitality and bleeding damage, like any good denizen of the void probably should. But yeah, you'll also notice a couple pets that are coming along for the ride, but those guys are not, I think most of them are scaling off of player bonuses. They're not in the occultist tree. They are coming from the Blood Knight set. We've got all 4 pieces, got that bad boy going. It's all level 94 stuff, and it just very recently became available. So it is fantastic that we're finally getting to use it, even though all of the gear I was using up until this point is pretty good too. Damage dealing abilities in this kit are going to be the Doombolt and the Warcry. Sigil of Consumption also providing some utility and damage as well, but that one's mainly around to give us health back, life leech from all the stuff that it hits. We love standing in the middle of clumped up groups of enemies, which is just the best way for this character to get energy back, to get health back, just to have a happy time. How much gold do I have? We're on 1 million. I don't need to pick up everything under the sun. Anyway, we're also using Bloody Pox. Bloody Pox is another ability that is doing one of our damage types, but well, some of our gear is modifying that to do even more damage, so it is pretty effing useful. And yeah, I think that about does it for big damage in this kit. Blitz is available. It's doing physical damage. It doesn't have many points in it. It's not really being used for much other than mobility. Now that the offensive abilities are out of the way, we can talk about the defensive abilities with Overguard, Blood of Dreeg, and that's it, right? Yeah, because our Blitz is the only movement ability. Sadly, it requires us to have a target, so we're going to do a lot of walking around until we can see people to dash into, but that's totally fine too. Sometimes an ethereal just needs to get bum rushed from 1,000,000 miles away and feel the justice from within them. Anyway, that being said, those are your defensive abilities activatably. Anyway, not a whole lot of points in. No, that's not true. Actually, Blood of Dreeg has tons of points in it. We have actually maxed out Blood of Dreeg because that one comes with some really good resistance buffers as well, making us even more tanky. Overguard, I think, is about halfway done, but we'll check it out to get the lowdown on the actual numbers for you. Obviously, the Grim Tools link will be in the description if you really need that, but it's a video. have fun, watch it, enjoy it. Live your life, do what you want to do, but I promise it's worth it. I will explain everything. Right, but Overguard, some of our gear is giving us points into it, and since we have a shield, it's just kind of a nice fit. It makes sense. It's got a lot of good stats on it for us for staying alive, and because we like to live for so long, doing a lot of AoE of vampiric damage, it is nice and juicy, just like a Jolly Rancher. Except those are like really hard, and they get stuck in your teeth a lot, and maybe that's not a good comparison, but you can see what I'm trying to say. Everything is just so cool. The aesthetic is bonkers, and I love it. Like, it's the most witchy witchblade I've ever seen in my life. And I've only seen two, if you count the comic book, but yeah, I'm into this. So, all the red and black cultist aesthetic aside, what else do we need to talk about? We need to talk about passives, because some of those passives have a lot of points in them. The big one is actually going to be Counter-Strike. We've maxed out Counter-Strike on the soldier tree, so we can do lots of damage. And we actually have the Blood Knight set modifying Counter-Strike even harder, making it do even more damage. So you can't actually you can't push a button to use Counter-Strike, you just have to activate it, and there is a percent chance that it will be used, but when it does get used, it just annihilates people. It's insane how good the ability is, especially when you just want to be tanky, you want to live forever and stand in the middle of everybody. It's like, punch me, heathens! See what happens! Actually, we can take a look at it right now. See, Counter-Strike, the Blood Knight's Visage, the helmet is reducing the cooldown that comes with that ability, adding a bunch of vitality and vitality decay damage to it. Swap over there real quick. Counter-Strike, 30% chance of activating, and then it's got a 0.7 second skill recharge. That is with the Blood Knight's cooldown reduction, which is gross. Not to mention that we got the full 4 set, so we're getting bleeding damage to Counter-Strike. We're getting 15% of attack damage converted to health to Counter-Strike, and 100% of that physical damage is now going to be vitality damage, which is our big boy in this build. And oh my god, I forgot I switched abilities again. I wanted to dash, I turned off my passive possession. Possession, it's an exclusive skill. It's another big passive. It's just got really good stats. It also comes with a bunch of chaos resistance. It's either chaos or vitality resistance. But either way, having it maxed out is really helpful, especially if you are not planning on taking the passives from whatever other tree that you have if they are exclusive. If you're playing something like a Nightblade, though, you don't have to worry about that because you don't have any exclusive skills on that class. Yeah. Other passives we have a component activated Seal of Might. What is it? It's called Presence of Might. That's giving us a bunch of good resistances as well. We've also got Soleil's Witchfire. That bad boy is maxed out and giving us a bunch of attack speed as well as, I don't know if it's both vitality and chaos damage. Let's check. Yeah, it's giving us flat chaos damage and buffing our vitality damage. Chaos damage is the #2 form of damage in this build. So bleeding is probably a #3 because we do have enough of that, but chaos is very prevalent in our base abilities, and most of our gear is providing that as well. Not to mention Doombolt is like the fucking red lightning raining down from righteousness in the sky. I couldn't think of another word. The R words are they come out and then they go, and they only grace me with their presence when it is time for me to know them. But yeah, Doombolt, chaos and vitality damage, right? Yeah, doing both. Doing mostly vitality, but the 10,000 that is doing in chaos damage is nothing to sneeze at. So mostly vitality and chaos damage are our big ones, with bleeding damage as a minor backup. And all of them work really well together. Not to mention, you get so much lifesteal. It's crazy. Like, the amount of health I can get back while just standing in the middle of everybody makes... I mean, who wouldn't chub up on that, you know what I'm saying? Warcry, though, Warcry is also fantastic because it's pulling everybody in while also doing that % health reduction. So, yanking everybody together for an AoE so I can slap them with even more AoE that gives me health back is kind of disgusting, how well it works. The lore playthrough is not done. That is still happening. That will be taking place once I get back from trip, but for now, we're stuck with a build guide video, which I personally think is just as good. This stuff is working tastily, you know? No, we're not going to go over into the Bastion. I don't want that. I do kind of want to kill the Logorian. That'd be nice, right? We could just get him to pop his head out, and we could chop it off. Show him who the real Chthonian god is. It's me. It's not Chthon. I am the guy who uses the void power and never dies. Man, it is fantastic just being able to eat. The only time I have actually had trouble staying alive with this build is when I'm getting overloaded with poison damage, having lots of my resistances reduced, and like what just happened here, my passives were turned off by some asshole with some skill disruption. So you can see all my shit's gone. I'm annoyed, but I'm definitely not dead because a lot of my abilities are all about keeping me alive. I did have to revamp these. So there's a couple older videos of this build on my channel, but the devotions are completely different from what they are now. So obviously they're in the Grim tools, but yeah, we've got one in each for green, pink, and blue. We've got Viper and Gallows that we started with, also picking up Scarab and Lotus early on so we can branch out into green and yellow. Green and yellow are necessary. And then we've got Solemn Watcher for more tanky stats. That's always going to be helpful. Vulture, super good for the pink tree, the chaos tree. It's 5 points, and all this stuff is generally going to take you decently far into the game. They're just really good lasting stats. We've also got Dying God as one of our big boys. We've got Ratosh the Veil Warden as our secondary big boy. So Altos is unlocked. I don't necessarily want any of that though, because it's, you know, lightning damage. Behemoth, also a big boy, of very tanky stats, and that incredibly useful for staying alive. We've also got Hawk, which is giving us some crit damage, offensive ability buffs, just really strong, just for keeping people whacked down. But that is it. So again, we got 3 points in the crossroads. Got Vulture, Viper, Gallows, Scarab, Sailor's Guide. That was my last choice. Lotus, Solemn Watcher, Hawk, and then Ratosh, Behemoth, and Dying God. All of those incredibly good, all of those providing some manner of defensive or game-spanning stat, or they are giving us chaos and vitality damage, both of which we desperately need. But if you want to change it up a little bit and go for some of the bleeding type damage devotions, you can do that too. I think there are caveats that you can make, but mostly I wanted to arrange the devotions so I could have both Ratosh the Veil Warden and Dying God, which is fine. Everything worked out in the end, and I had 4 points to spare, which is why we've got Sailor's Guide, which also has some good stats for, you know, later in the game. If you're still using devotions that only provide like 15% or you know, just really low amounts of damage into the stats that you're going for, it's probably not a good idea to hang on to those. Unless you just absolutely love the devotion abilities that you get. Things like Imp? Is it Imp? Or is it Demon? Horn? I don't know. They look kind of similar. They're both on the Chaos tree. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but there's a couple of those that are like, oh, this one looks really cool, and it's got all of the stats that I want, but they're really, really small amounts of stats. And those aren't going to necessarily do you a whole lot of good in... I have to go all the fucking way over here, don't I? Damn it. Those aren't going to do you necessarily a whole bunch of good in the later portions of the game. Because, I mean, what good is 15% acid damage when your whole kit stacks up to about, you know, 1500% acid damage? Or something crazy like that. Because that's what the ultimate numbers usually equate to. You know what? Let's take a look. Actually, I haven't looked and looked at what those numbers equate to for my Chaos and Vitality. Vitality damage modifier is 2200. My Chaos modifier is 1100. So having 15% of either of those from a devotion is a massive, massive waste of a devotion point. Especially when you can have things like points into percent modifiers for offensive ability or resistances or other stuff like that. But, you know, just food for thought when you're working out your build. Devotions do take a big chunk of priority for any build, and you really got to think about what's going to make the most sense in the end game. Also, don't forget that you can redo your devotions whenever you want, so don't forget about that spirit guide. She's super useful for that kind of stuff. We made it to level 95. Let's try and get down in this hole, punch the Ligurian in the face. I guess the other thing you may have noticed happening in the game is these little skeleton boys running around. They're being summoned by the Blood Knight set yet again, but they're another component of all that. One of the pieces of gear is... which one is it? It's not the helmet. It might be the armor that's summoning them? Because the helmet is adjusting counter strike. Let's take a look. It's one of them. The gem? Yeah, it's the gem. Call upon the blood-bathed. That is the necklace. So the necklace is giving us passively the ability to raise these vampire skeletons, and all the damage that they do is coming back to us in health, which is really fantastic. Now, if you are opting to play this build, I would highly, highly, highly recommend investing in some energy absorption from your enemies. I have about 50% right now energy absorbed from enemy spells, because we can stand in the middle of them for so long and eat so many of their abilities. It is really, really helpful for keeping that energy bar full, because it is really, really energy hungry, this build. Because you're going to be hitting so many buttons so often, you can run out really quick if you're only fighting one or two guys, and if you're only fighting one or two guys who are not really ability users. But High Lord Thelonus he summons Harbingers. Harbingers are like big resistance shredders, so if we're not paying attention, that guy has killed me a number of times on other characters, so I'm kind of interested to see if this character, in all of its tanky glory, can stand there and we're just gonna stand there and man fight him. That's what I'm getting at. I don't know if that's going to work, but hopefully it does. I have a sneaking suspicion that we are going to run out of energy once we get there. I really don't want to deal with a whole bunch of Harbingers on top of what he summons himself, so I will probably stop and kill those along the way. assuming that they will try to follow us down. Excuse me, Mr. High Lord, where are you? I would like very much to kill you. Alright, buddy, I see you. Bloodlord Thelonous, that's his name. Where Harbinger's at? He is taking so much damage. But I'm losing a lot of energy. So I'm just going to sit here and punch him with cadence for a little while. And get some of that energy back out of the stuff that he's casting. And it turns out we just absolutely blitzed that, man. Fantastic stuff. Perfect. Just in time for the Loghorrean. I want to see how long it takes. Put down that sigil under our feet. I don't think you can actually cast it on him. If you can, I can't see it. He's definitely taking damage slowly. And he is going to be highly resistant to our war cry. Ulgrim's been eaten. Poor guy is out of here. Our passives are still going. War cry is doing a ton of damage to his bodyguard, though. That's pretty sick. Yeah, this is good. I like this. He's dying much faster than my last build was taking him down. My Sentinel was having a little bit more of a time with it. Because she was, obviously, she's much squishier than this character. And standing in all of that, oh, there's a lot of energy. Standing in all of that chaos and vitality damage from the Loghorrean is not a place she wants to be, usually. It's cool. Man, we're fucking tanky as fuck. Oh, you're not dead yet. Oh, there we go. Nah, I got it. My minions beat your minions. Dread Chill Mark. Thrower. Nothing else. What's this one got for me? Nope, nothing in that one either. Did I get his? There they are. I'm just going to make sure to always pick up those Loghorrean shoulders. I have to get out through this. That's right. Yeah, that was it. A little bit of a long video, but it is a build guide video, so let me know what you thought of this one. Feel free to do all those YouTube things that I know you love to do so much. But I'll be back to normal stuff next week with the Ultimate Lore Through. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys there. Peace out.